Alright, everybody, we're back to review Bloatholes officially. As always, I'll just start out with a few outstanding remarks about the mod. I did enjoy it. It was very confusing and frustrating at times. It was very heavily scripted. The mod author definitely was not lying there. And obviously, the mod author has a ton of talent for scripting. Surname 95 is who I am referencing. The mod author for Bloatholes. He did say on the Nexus page this was a mod that was kind of made to, I don't want to say annoy, because that's not the right word, but kind of made to troll people. It's a very trolly mod, clearly. And, with that in mind, I guess I understand a little bit better kind of the mobs of enemies that you're facing. You're not really supposed to be able to beat them. So, I kind of get it from that perspective. But, no, I did like the mod. And despite the fact that I had to use God mode the whole time, it was fun. At least the playing through part of it was fun once I understood how to go about it. So with that said, let's get to the actual review portions of the mod. So the first thing we will grade is world space. This will probably receive the highest grade of anything for me about this particular mod. I like the design of a lot of it. I would say, for me, map markers are a matter of preference, I guess. But to me, I like mods better when they have quest markers, not map markers. Quest markers is what I'm saying. And to me, that just goes to because a lot of the things that in this mod, when you unlock something or when you use a console, walls will disappear, doors will disable. It's very heavily scripted rather than things just kind of happening in front of you. So in that way, it can kind of get confusing where you're going. But no, the world space is not the thing I had the issue with. I actually really liked the design of a lot of the world spaces here, and the lighting was very cool to some extent. I wish it was better lit through a lot of it, just because it makes it hard for you guys to see. I mean, if I have a hard time seeing in a mod, chances are you guys are going to have a very tough time seeing, because in editing it's really, really hard to bring the brightness up. Or it's hard to bring the in-game brightness up. I have a brightness filter specifically for Deus Ex, but nothing for Fallout that would work so that you guys could see any better than I could. So world space, I'll give a 4 out of 5. I liked it. There were a lot of flickering textures. That's just what that is that when you overlap one texture with another, even if it's the same texture in the GEC, they will flicker. And then there were a few repeating textures as well for some of the larger rooms and columns and things like that. So just a little bit, the slightest tad messy in that way, but those are easy fixes. Something that if you wanted to work on this and put out an update, it would not take them very long to fix some of those very minor issues. So 4 out of 5 on world space. Lore friendliness, actually I take back the world space being the highest rated thing. This I'll give a 5 out of 5. I did love the story from what I read. I just thought it was really cool concept that they were working on these blowflies and doing experiments on them, and then they kind of all went batshit crazy and became blowflies themselves. That's not I'm way paraphrasing the story. There's a lot of fucking in between those two things. But it went from government funded experiments on these blowflies as weapons to blowflies being basically everything that was down there. Those, and then some of the security guards and mad scientists. So I did like the lore friendliness of it. I thought it was kind of quirky, something that fit with Fallout lore, but in a very fun and funny manner. So I will give lore friendliness a 5 out of 5. As for voice acting and dialogue, there wasn't a whole lot of it except for the documentations. Now, granted, I didn't read them all. There were very few grammatical errors. I did notice a couple, but for the most part, very few. I wonder if this English is the mod author's first language. It seems like it is. There were a couple of kind of cavemanish grammatical sentences, which I always just think that's really funny when it's in there. It's not something I laugh at to insult anybody. Just I don't know why, but that particular thing makes me laugh a lot. But no, it was pretty good for the most part, pretty clean. And like I said, I love the story, and I wouldn't have been able to love the story if I didn't understand it through the pretty clear writing. So I will give dialogue and voice acting a 4 out of 5. There wasn't really any voice acting, so I can't judge it on that, but As I've said, surname 95 in the future. If you need a voice actor, feel free to contact me. Okay, playability. This is where I'm going to have to ding the mod a bit and give it a 3 out of 5, just because it would be very, very hard to run if you didn't have an extremely high-end system. And in addition, the mobs of enemies, while very cool from the aspect that they're kind of trolling you, to be able to enjoy a mod, at least in my opinion, I shouldn't have to toggle God mode on the entire time or use God weapons, which I didn't come equipped with because I didn't know that was going to be the case. But yeah, there were things about it I enjoyed. I enjoyed the interactions with the consoles and things like that, and the key searches. I enjoyed just going through the story part of it. It was just the battling that I didn't enjoy so much. The scripting was kind of cool. I'm sure I fucked a lot of it up with my use of console commands, but no, for the most part, I really did enjoy like going through the story part of it and all that, despite all of the frustrations because of the mobs of enemies. Miscellaneous and subjective experience, we're gonna go 2.5 out of 5, just because, and you guys will see on the FARC, what am I thinking of? The blooper reel. There were a lot of points in this mod at which I got very frustrated, just because it does get to be, and again, you have to take this all within the mindset of it's meant to be frustrating, it's meant to be difficult, but like it's like this. If I had a can of Mountain Dew and a can of lemonade, and I was blindfolded, and you handed me the can of lemonade and said, here's the Mountain Dew, and I tasted it, even if I love lemonade, I'm going to say, what the fuck is that shit? Because you told me it was Mountain Dew when I wasn't expecting it. This mod was nothing like what I expected it to be, and so from that standpoint, I suppose it just kind of left a sour taste here. I don't know, it was really frustrating at points, just because it gets to be so overwhelming. You just want to move on in certain parts of the quest and get to the next sector or get to the next room, and it's like there are thousands and thousands and thousands of enemies constantly coming at you that you have to use console commands to kill. So it's just not, it's hard to play a mod that way, because most mods out there are not like that, so it's not an experience I'm very used to. So for that reason, I would have to say my miscellaneous subjective experience was not that great. But that's just my personal opinion. I don't think the mod is a bad mod. I think if you actually cleaned a few things up and just made it less ridiculous in terms of the amounts of enemies and how and where they spawn, I think it could actually be a very fun mod. Just tone it down. You're at about a 10, and we need you at about a 4. That's where we're at. If you can get it to about a 4 on the intensity scale, that would actually be a perfect mod and light the place a little better. But, in total, I think that this mod author is a very talented mod author, and I do look forward to seeing more work from Surname 95. And he said he was going to take this down. If that is the case, that is his choice to make. But if not, guys, feel free to download it and play the mod as well. So, if my calculations are correct, in total this mod would get a 3.7 out of 5 on my scale here, which is a solid C, perhaps a C+. Yeah, this was, I don't know if this was his first quest mod. I would say it probably is, and it's a good first attempt at a quest mod, and from here, I think you've got to learn from the things you didn't do so well, and learn, and make it a learning experience, and build and get better for your next one. And there were some definite strengths, and you want to play. What I would say is always play to your strengths. Like, I always use him as an example, but some guy, his strength is obviously story writing and dialogue. So there's very, very heavy elements of story writing and dialogue. Where he falls a little bit flat is kind of like Surname 95. He just bombards you with enemies at points, and that can be, to me, a major weakness. But look at Devil's Wish. His strength is he plays to his ability as a scripter. But he may stay away from some other things, for example, like trying to use DLC spaces in his mods, or he doesn't do a ton of story. Like if you go to House of Horrors, there's not a ton of story behind it. It's mostly scripted, animated fun, which was kind of how Devil's Wish for Fallout 3 was as well. So always play to your strengths, I think, in a mod review. It is fun sometimes to kind of challenge yourself and attack the areas you're not as good in. But in this case, to me, I think you're always better off doing what you do best, staying true to yourself in a mod review, and just working hard to improve the things that maybe you're not as strong in, and tying it all in together, but keeping within your character as a mod author while challenging yourself and trying to implement elements of some of the things you've been working to improve. So that would be my advice to this mod author. I think he's very, very talented, and I look forward to seeing more of his work. So hopefully you guys enjoyed my reviews of Bus Wheat Bus and Bloatholes, and thank you guys very, very much for watching, and we will see you next time.